Welcome to Talking in Stations. It's Matterall. We'll be going through the news for January 26th in just a second. I want to say hello to my friend Nick Bison, who's sitting in with me. How you doing, Nick? Oh, great. Give me that in a link if you don't mind. Okay. Big day today in Basgerin. Snuff successfully killed the Keepstar in Basgerin at 1736 Eve time today with a fleet of Titans. The asset safety for that system is actually Basgerin. So if your stuff was in that Keepstar, it is now in the NPC station in that same system. So you won't actually be missing it. We'll go into some photos and the kill mail for the Basgerin attack after these headlines. In the Poshven region system called Archie, a number of golems were destroyed again as they were ambushed by players that were trying to basically interrupt the NPC ratting that's going on there against the world arcs. It's incredibly lucrative. And this has happened before, and it looks like it repeated itself. We'll take a look at that kill mail as well. Okay, should prepare for extended downtime. Expected it today, but it may actually be for tomorrow because there's some new stuff coming in. There's a new help section for EVE Online, and it's got videos in it, which is really cool. We'll show you that in just a minute. That is on the test center now, and we expect it to enter the Tranquility server sometime soon. Also, some quality of life changes. We'll review those and see what's going on with QOL. Okay, let's go into the first thing. The top story is Snuff taking out a Keepstar that belonged to 6th Empire. You'll remember a week ago or so, they took out a Satio, which is an extra large engineering complex. That actually belonged to Yeti Industries before it was forcibly given over to 6th Empire when Yeti was under pressure by the Tranquility Trade Network, which included at the time, actually and still does, Goonswarm. So they were forced to give that up to basically merge their stuff together, and so that's what happened, and that's how the Satio came into the hands of 6th Empire. At least that's what we're told. And that was destroyed last week, and then this week the Keepstar was targeted and destroyed by Snuff again. And this leaves the only low-sec Keepstar where supers are traded as Igniton, which belongs to Tranquility Trade Center, and Test, and Goonswarm, and Horde, all working together as a null-sec conglomerate inside of high-sec space. The Igniton system is actually low-sec space, but it belongs to that same group. Kind of interesting if you think about it. I don't think anything weird was happening here, but if Igniton's going to be the only place where Keepstars, the only place where Titans are traded or supers are traded, that's kind of be a nice little profit for Igniton. All right. Not really with them, but you never know. I mean, they can be further incentivized, but it almost doesn't take more than a good opportunity to destroy. But I think actually what was funny was as soon as the core went into the Keepstar, that thing was targeted. So remember, that core drops 100% of the time, and that alone is incentive enough to take down or try to take down a Keepstar if it's basically handed to you, which it was in this case, because there is no bigger force than Snuff, as you can see from these pictures of their Titans. Here's their Titans hanging out on a Fortizar, getting ready to take on that Keepstar. And here it is. That little group there is gigantic. It just looks small, shooting the Keepstar. These are the Titans that were involved in that. So yeah, this is kind of not a group that you can counter very easily unless you have matching forces, because Titans can't really be threatened except by other Titans, basically. Not with this number. So yeah. Now they could have been further incentivized, sure. Like somebody could have said, let's give you some added incentive to take down that Keepstar, sure. But I don't think that was necessary, so I don't think it happened. But the obvious winner here is Ignoin. Let's actually take a look at Dotlan and go to these places so you can actually see. Or you know what might be nicer? Let's actually go to. No, I think Dotlan will have to do. I was going to take you into the game. So Basgerin is where the Keepstar was destroyed. BASG. Here it is. See, it's in Cinq-Liaison, right in the middle. Again, I explained a few weeks ago why Basgerin even had a Keepstar. And it's because Mercenary Coalition that was a group of mercenaries, and they wanted to take advantage of all kinds of different contracts, wherever they were, north, south, east, west, whatever. So they put themselves in the middle of the map, Basgerin, or that area, so that they could theoretically travel to any corner of space as easily as any other corner of space. So that was kind of why a Keepstar was put there. It was called Tortuga 2 by Mercenary Coalition, and that is essentially a name that they've given their home before. Tortuga 1 was actually period basis. And period basis a long time ago was designated as Mercenary Coalition's home, except that it was owned by their ally Bob at the time, and so they tried to fight Bob for it, but Bob swung south and destroyed Mercenary Coalition pretty fast, and Tortuga 1 never came into existence. You'll also remember that Tortuga is a pirate island. I believe it's like a fabled pirate island. So years later, in like 2015, Mercenary Coalition reforms and they want to have a home again, so they create Tortuga 2, and that is the Keepstar they put into Basgerin. Later, when Mercenary Coalition decided they were going to break up again, they left that in the capable hands of the Space Pope and Sixth Empire, who have had very good relations with just about everybody. Well, as it goes, without some kind of a block protecting you, even deep into high-sec space, you are vulnerable to the roving bandits of Snuff. And they decided to take action after resisting for a long time. Now, in that same region, Cinq-Liaison, you'll see at the top, let me scoot this down here. Here's Basgerin. Way up here is Ignoiten. I'll click in and click out so you can see. There it is, way up here. And this is really just 3 jumps from Perimeter in Jita. So this is very close to Jita. It is a system that 80% of logistics go through from the north. Well, whenever NC or PL or other groups that are now occupying the north were trying to resupply, they would take their jump freighters and land in Ignoiten. And then from there, they would move stuff in and out of Jita and resupply. From Jita, they could take off directly back up north. So that's a lot of logistical work. So it's a very good system to have some kind of a secure trading situation, which the Tranquility Trade Tower or the Tranquility Trade Group has. And now that is probably where you will see Titans and super capitals traded. There is other competition. For instance, Amamaki lives actually down here. This is just about a couple jumps from this area down here. I think you can see it. Is Amamaki. I'll go ahead and click into Hamatar and show you. So Hamatar has this triangle, right? So this is Cinq-Liaison. This is, you're now in Hamatar. And right here, 1 jump away is Amamaki. There's a Keepstar there too that belongs to Well, it belongs to former members of Pandemic Legion, or it's called the Amamaki Police, I believe, something like that. And there are a lot of really talented EVE Online PvPers that do Alliance tournament stuff. I think they're Hydra related, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken about that. Hydra, Pandemic Legion, somewhere in between here. And so Amamaki is a Keepstar that has some Alliance tournament ships in it, but aren't necessarily. I don't know if they're still there. They might have been moved out, but we expect that Amamaki may actually get targeted soon too. I mean, obviously, Basgerin is not far away from Amamaki, so it depends on what Snuff wants to do. So anyway, people wouldn't trade super carriers and titans in Amamaki anyway, because the links with Pandemic Legion, and there's rumors that if you buy some kind of a titan off of PL, that they'll leak your name and purchase to some third-party group, and that third-party group will hunt you because they know that you have a brand new titan you're trying to move out of Amamaki. And that was kind of the rumor. That's why it's never been good as a trade center. Mela had that same reputation early on, but not sure. Oh, Amamaki holders were involved with the Basgerin attack, according to Vili. So maybe it isn't the next target, he says. And that makes sense. And I wonder if they got involved in order to take out the competition. Maybe they're trying to get into that market of selling stuff. Well, that makes things very interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, but fact is, Sixth Empire loses a Keepstar in Basgerin, unfortunately for them. All right, let's have a look at these golems in Archie. This Archie is a system that was kidnapped from Empire space and ended up in... Actually, let's see. We go to the map where it's registered. It is in Poshvin now, but let's see where it actually was physically. It looks like it's changed on this map. I'll go back to Cinque Zone. Where did you say it was? No longer. Okay, so they took it out at Drolleton. Yeah, I don't remember where it was. Oh, yeah, this has changed down here. I think it's changed. Okay, well, anyway, it was here. I think there were 3 connected here. Oh, no, these are these 3. I don't know, but this map has changed. All right, well, Archie, anyway, is no longer part of Cinque Zone. That's what I wanted to get to. It got stolen from the Galente Republic. And in that system, there's a lot of, well, it's a lot of red. But there's some people that have moved in there. It's kind of quiet. It's I think there was some consolidation over the last few months, because this is a new region that was created within the last few months. And since the consolidation, golems have been spotted, a whole series of golems, as you can see here, doing world arcs and actually making quite a bit of money. And we brought you a story where they were targeted and destroyed when they warped off to their safe spot. Their safe spot was actually reconnaissanced down, so they were able to catch them. I'm not sure this is the same group, but it's likely. And I think this may be actually one person. I'm not sure about that though. And so that loss cost him about 60 billion. That is really only, if I'm understanding the ratios correctly, about 3 days of actual ratting. So yeah, so that is what happened there. Poshvin, rich place. if you can get to it, standings has a lot to say about that. So you have to have Triglavian standings even to move around and actually use the stations like normal. But once you're in there and you do have standing, which isn't hard to get anymore, it was really hard to get right after Pochfin was created. Could be a lucrative place. I'm not sure there's a lot going on there, but we hear it's a lot of money-making activity. Okay, new help section coming to EVE Online. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to our live coverage area. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, we'll take you to a reference point that you'll understand. Here is the agency. Again, this is on the test server. It does not exist in the game yet, but we assume it's coming soon. Yesterday, we talked a lot about Fleet Up. That is the new way to find a fleet. Today, we're going to talk about the help section that is new. And right now, there's really only scanning in here. And so this topic has a lot of videos associated with it. We'll take a look at the quality of some of these. Here's a fitting video. Now they run without sound, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can see the quality of the animation is very instructional and should help with very basic concepts. And they repeat, so once it ends, it repeats. But this will teach you how to do probe launching, how to fit your ship for scanning, and I think this is a lot of the fundamentals that are very difficult for players to understand. So it's good that they started with scanning, I think. This is scanning to me is something that is one of the harder things for a new player to understand. So it's good that they made videos they can watch over and over again that actually shows them exactly how to do something. So that's just loading probes. But let's go to something as interesting as reconnecting probes. There you go. Then you get to actual navigation for probes, so people can figure out how to do this. All right. I think we'll get to analyzing here in just a second. There you go. This is managing your probes. And actually executing an analyze. And after this, we'll do a reposition. It looks like it's one video cut up, but with a lot of with a little bit of animation put on top. But they break it down into sections, so each action. They make it look easy, but we know it's not that easy. And there you go. So that's scanning inside of the help menu. We'll go ahead and pause this. And that's in this new help section, which doesn't have art yet. If it's even going to have art, but yeah, there you go. So that is new. Okay. Also, we have some quality of life changes that are coming. I think you'll like some of these. I haven't actually read over these, so we'll just do them together here. Quality of life change. Remove the cost of changing your home station. I believe that used to be 900,000. They just went ahead and removed that. Items from the redeem queue can now be redeemed directly to your home station. That's interesting because right now, wherever your character is, that's where you redeem things to. So if your character is not at their home station, then you probably don't want to redeem something there because That's where it will get stuck. Move the Clone Bay window to the character sheet. We don't have any illustration of that. Update home system icon on the star map. So now you can see right here is, I don't know if we can make that bigger. No. A little home icon, so it shows where your home station is, even if you're not there. Added home station to your indicator to your overview. I think that's interesting. They're doing a lot with home station, it looks like, because they want people to feel grounded. Quick little story, if you get a new cat, normally you don't want to just open up your whole house to them. You want to let them get used to something safe, like a bathtub. And once you get them used to your bathtub, then you let them into your whole bathroom, and then bathroom to your hallway or other room, and then you start growing their space. So they always have a comfortable place to go to. And I wonder if that's part of what CCP is finding. They want to give people a sense of home, a sense of safe, and then they can start to explore from that point of safety. Okay, quality of life improvements, another batch of little things to make everyone's time more enjoyable on EVE Online. Added the ability to drag and drop systems, stations, and structures from the search result window. Oh, that's pretty good. Made it possible to delete entries from the history of edit fields. Say goodbye to all those mistyped names of ships and items cluttering your history. That's a popular one, I believe. Booster duration is now displayed in human readable formats. 30 minutes. See that? That makes a lot more sense. You don't have to do math just to figure out how long a booster is going to last. Added information about what is affecting modified attributes for modules to the info window. Interesting. It'll help you understand your equipment a bit better. That's a neat one. Damage modifier. Fantastic. So on this damage modifier, you can see what skills are applying and what the base value is and what skills are applying to it. I think that's good because people need to conceptualize a result with a cause in this game. It's very difficult sometimes to do that. So, all right, so that's a little tour of some of the stuff that's coming. Don't know when this is going to be released. We assume in the next patch, but we don't have news on when the new patch is. All right, that is your news for January 26th. What I was thinking was that after we do news, it's already a half hour, which is as long as I actually wanted the show to originally be 20 minutes to 30 minutes tops. So we're going to sign off today, actually make it a shorter show, try to get you guys used to shorter shows. And what we want to do going forward is to try to front load the news headline readings so you can see if there's anything interesting that you want to stay tuned for. Then we'll take a little break, maybe a commercial break. I don't know how that'll work. And then we'll go into the commentary. And that way we can kind of expand on topics without making everybody listen to a 2-hour show every day. So we'll try to do it in that way. Yeah, he told me I should actually create one. So we may actually recruit him to do it. Of course, we'll only get money from half the EVE fan base, but all right, well, we have 20 minutes. Let's see. The reason I want to keep you guys for 20 more minutes is because Trash Talk Tuesday is coming up, and it would be nice to be able to raid them. It's not necessary, but it might be nice to do. I'm going to open the floor. Right after this, we're going to take a 60-second break. That's too long, isn't it? Can it be shorter than that? Let's try it anyway. We'll be right back after this, and we'll take some questions if you have any. Go ahead and start writing questions. It's a long commercial, 60 seconds. Like, can you do like 15 seconds? Funny, we'll do a commercial and there won't be any questions. And and then we'll be like, see you later. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. Is there anything else to talk about? Oh, it's all right. I want to. All right, 10 seconds. 3. All right, welcome back to Talking in Stations. If you guys have any questions, totally willing to answer them for the next 20 minutes. After that, we're out. You can go to Trash Talk Tuesday. Really want to show you Max Singularity, who is the Space Pope. He's given that name by players who appreciate his cosplay and also his contributions. He is a man that is admired and respected among EVE players and has been for a long time. I believe he's very public about the fact that he actually works for Jet Propulsion Labs in Pasadena, which are a part of NASA. Or I don't actually know what Jet Propulsion is to NASA, if they're contracted or they're funded, I think, by the Caltech, which is California Technology. It's like MIT, the Massachusetts Institute for Technology, which is one of the great schools for science in America. And Caltech is the West Coast equivalent, I would say, but I'm from California. So that's who sponsors the Jet Propulsion Labs. And Max Singularity is actually one of their archivists. So he is in charge of, well, put it this way, if the Jedi Temple was real, he would be the lady that welcomes Ben Kenobi to look for that lost planet or whatever. He's the librarian for a huge amount of knowledge that NASA collects. And so very knowledgeable guy. So his presentations when he comes to Vegas, or maybe even JPL is NASA. Thank you. I didn't know that for sure, but good. Thank you for telling us that. 6 donuts. I thought it was NASA, but I wasn't sure what the technical relationship was. No, the Pope doesn't kill younglings. Moving beyond that example, the Pope gives great presentations to EVE players that are grounded in actual science and space exploration. So, but besides that, he's a nice guy. He talks to everybody all the time and just does a ton of stuff. Now, that doesn't make him immune to being wounded in the game. But I think his comment here is they literally snuffed out our giant monthly fuel bill. And that's a little joke to basically say that the destruction of that Keepstar was really a burden for Max Singularity. It was a nice trophy and it was a nice gift, but it takes maintenance, takes fuel. So one of the things that Billy talked about was, he has to pay for all the fuel and everything that goes into the Keepstars for the Tranquility Trade Center and stuff. But he also has to pay, and this is well known, protection money, not only to himself, but he has to pay Horde, and he has to pay Goosehorn and the Imperium, but he also has to pay people like Snuff, right? And the reason you do that is to keep everybody happy, because what you really want in the long run is stability. I don't think the Pope was making, or maybe he was, but didn't want to pay. But I don't think he was making enough to pay those kinds of fees. And the problem with those kinds of fees is once you start paying them, they tend to go up, unfortunately. So, but in any case, he is saying literally snuffed out giant fuel bill. So now he doesn't have to pay the fuel for that structure anymore, or the CTO. And those are no longer his responsibility. Yeah, I'll fire up the client. I was in the test center client. I'm going to move into the actual server and we'll have a look at those prices. All T2 materials have actually, all T2 ships that I'm aware of have actually dropped in price, some for different reasons, but jump freighters are definitely on that list. I know because I own a bunch and make some, and I've noticed that freighters have gone up maybe 100%. They're twice as expensive as they used to be, whereas jump freighters have actually gone down in price, and that's a weird problem because what's really expensive right now are the actual raw minerals. So anything that is T1 is more expensive than it used to be, probably by 50 to 100% more than it was. But why should a T2 actually come down in price? Because it takes a T1 ship to build a T2 ship. In other words, if you make a jump freighter, you have to start with an actual freighter. And that actual freighter is now twice as expensive as it used to be. Exactly. And that's what we're going to look at, is to see where those T2 materials are. I think they've fallen considerably. Now, why does a market fall? There's usually two reasons. One is the supply is overabundant, meaning there's a ton of it. So people are selling a lot of it to the market, to other players. And the other reason is demand just drops off. People don't need that thing that you're selling. So those are the two reasons. And I think in this case, probably as soon as I log in and get up and running, probably it's a glut on selling of T2 materials. There's a lot of people that are selling their stuff. Let's go ahead and switch over to, yeah. Well, that's my assumption as well. But let's look at the mineral index. We'll go to titanium first. I'll make this bigger so you guys can see it easier. It's a little harder to handle when it's bigger, but phrasing, it's a little harder to get the whole thing in frame when it's magnified like this, but it's easier for you to read, which is what we want. Okay, so titanium, and we'll just for clarity's sake, we're just going to look at not graphs, which is what I usually look at, but something a little more visual like this. And I normally just look at the dots because for me, that's the pattern I'm looking for. That's the actual mean price. That means where the average was for the day. But I'll just put in the lines for the 20. Let's go, we'll put in both lines. So the blue is the faster one, which means if prices spike, that reacts first. You can see here a good example of that right there, where there is some kind of adjustment to the market right there. And you can see that the blue spikes way up, whereas the 20-day moving takes a longer time to really register that adjustment. So it's a smoother line because it takes into account 20 days before, 20 days, 10 days before, 10 days after. Whereas this one is like 2 days ahead, 2 days behind. And so the reaction is stronger on this one. The reason they have two different lines is if you want to move fast on an item, then you watch the blue line. But if you're a long-term investor, you want to watch the yellow line, basically. So if I'm a long-term investor, I want to see like the overall market movement. You know, oh, okay, so in the summer, this is a 1 year view. In the summer is when prices dip and it goes up in the winter and goes up in the fall. That's, you know, what I'm thinking. But if this is cyclical, that's what you're looking at here. But if you want to be more precise, it looks like this. you know, and then you make money off these little bumps up or dips down and that sort of stuff if you're trying to be fast about using the market. Okay, that said, let's look at Tritanium, and we'll actually look at 20-day average. See, Tritanium's recovered quite a bit. It's not completely recovered because it used to be down here at about 4. Can I get this bigger? Let's look at all its partners. Now, if I want to, I'm on Tritanium, right? I typed it in here. So I want to see more than Tritanium. I want to see all its partner minerals. So what I'll do is I'll click on this little circle up here, and this will bring me the entire group. So if you give it a second after you click it, it'll bring you into all the minerals, and here they are. So pyrite, you can see that is increased dramatically and has stayed really strong. Noxium is another one that should be high. Yes, it's high, and after coming down, it's on its way back up. This is a mineral you can really only get out of low sec, so scarcity has moved in. That's why it's expensive. It's now scarce. Morphite, again, is it's just this is a null sec item, actually. It's a very specific rock you need to mine for the morphite. It's the most expensive mineral there is, actually. And it is crazy expensive now. And this is used for T2 equipment, by the way. It's kind of interesting. Maxilon is also another what we would call bottleneck mineral. It's low sec, I think. And it is also scarce. Megasite and isogen. So now isogen seems to be like kind of coming down, but who knows what's going to happen with that. So T1 minerals are up, but let's check now moon minerals. That's PI. This is it here, advanced moon minerals. Let's not look at advanced. Let's look at raw moon minerals. This is the bottom of the pyramid. So everything that is down here, you could see that long climb down right there with vanadium, tungsten, same thing. Oh, titanium is moving up. Thulium, technetium, or technetium. Look at those long slides. You see that? This is why T2 is down. Long slides. So let's have a look at the Rhea, for instance. That is a jump freighter. And yeah, it's at a yearly low at, let's see how much they're actually going for. 8.5, 8.6 billion. And that's not far off. These things usually sell for 9. So it's 500 million off, which is not too far off. But they have actually been more expensive, as you can see. They've gone up to at 1.10, but usually they're around here. Right in the middle there is 9 billion. Sure. Right. For new players that are like, well, what's the base? I mean, you can find it manually, but a quick shortcut is to bring up the information on the Rhea. Look at industry. Look at, oh, it's not in here. Yeah, these are all the T2 materials. That's interesting that it's like that. All right, well, we'll do it the long way. Let's see. So we'll go to ships. Why is it popping up? Capital ships, freighters, Caldari, Charon. Yeah, these things used to go for 1 billion, and now they're way up here at like, I think they used to be 1.1, but sometimes when you sold, you had to sell them for less, and now they're about 1.8, so that's almost twice as much. And I think it's true for all these freighters. These are mineral intensive. You can see that massive sliding up. Wow. See, all of them started right about here at 1.1. This actually dipped under 1 billion, and now it's way up here again at 1.8, 1.9. And here's why. If we decide to go into more info, go to industry, and we want to right click on this blueprint and say view it in industry. And what this does, it brings up the build panel. And if you just hover over this button here, you'll be able to see what the typical build cost is. I think that comes from the system that you're in. Oop, I got to deliver that Gila. So this is a 1.955 build cost. So it is crazy expensive because it's not built on minerals. It's actually built on subsections of minerals. And this might be particularly important to orcas and to freighters. These things are needed for capital ships, for dreadnoughts, for carriers. And a ton of these are needed for super capitals and, of course, titans. So not only are these incredibly mineral intensive, but they're in high demand for alternative uses. So the demand pressure on these is really high. And that might push these up, a good 20% more than they're normally worth. Because the minerals can go somewhere else instead. So that is kind of interesting. Let's just for variety, let's take a look at some of the other stuff that is T1. So cruisers are usually what I like to look at. We'll look at standard cruisers. Those are the T1, Tech 1 version. And just the arbitrator I like. I don't think it's very popular, but these have also increased considerably. So those are just straight mineral costs, right? Because these things, again, if you tap on searching and right click on the blueprint and say view that in industry, and you can see right here that yeah, they cost about 13.3, but it's straight minerals. So there's no middle component to build that is in competition with anything else. These are just straight minerals that are in competition with other things that are built with minerals. But even those are definitely moving up. Let's see here. I want to see if that's just the story with all cruisers. Yeah. Everything T1. This is all a sign of scarcity here. Scarcity being that nullsec is no longer, I think, is no longer really able to get all the minerals they need for themselves out there in nullsec, so they have to import. Pretty cool. Okay, going back now to chat, see if there's any things that I missed there. Click on the cap part. Shoot, I should have done that while I was doing that. There's more people building jump freighters that I've seen in the past. Well, that's possible too. Remember, if you have a lot of supply, the price actually goes down even further. Everybody competes to sell, so they lower their price to sell. And two people lowering their price in competition with one another will drive the price down. Consistently listed. Click on the. All right, click on the cap part if you will bring up the build for that item. Not sure what you meant there, but I'm sure it's a great shortcut. Right. Well, let's do that real quick. We'll do it with the Rorqual. Just to show that shortcut, we'll view this in industry. So you can view the item here, what it takes. These are all capital parts. And let's see. If you click on it, that's all you need to do is just click on it. It drives you into the piece. And so now you break it down to the minerals. That's what our friend, give credit where credit is due, Sergeant Johnson was saying. So yeah, and to back out, there is a back out button right up here that takes you back to the Rorqual. So you can pop in on any of these. You know, I owned a really, really well-researched Rorqual blueprint and made copy after copy after copy for years. Just deliver that thing. And had like 40, 50, 60 copies of Rorquals before Rorquals became super powerful. And all I did was hand them out as gifts to writers, you know, kind of like Christmas gifts. When I was at INN, I would hand out my own stuff as gifts for people that worked hard. And funny enough, I never built any Rorquals to sell when the Rorqual craze was going. So they all just sat there. Oh, I not only did I give Rorqual blueprints, but I gave all the construction part blueprints. So people just needed to get the, at the time, very cheap minerals to build their own Rorquals. So in some way, I contributed to the problem. Yeah, I gave out the whole pack, like hundreds and hundreds. The only thing is I said, look, I want to give this out to all the writers. I just don't want to do it. So I let somebody, I gave all the stuff over to Rivra, who was my, at the time was my protege, or I call her protege, but she was another editor that helped me out with a lot of work and helped me out with a lot of things. And so she divvied it all up and she gave it out for me, which was really cool of her. It couldn't have been done without her help because I just don't have the patience to do that sort of thing. So that's why people got Rorqual packs from me. And yeah, so that was a nice thing that I kind of thing that I used to do, but I never made money on the Rorqual craze. And now they're, you know, not as popular as they were. So I've missed out on many things like that. Is this your main Twitch account, by the way? This is Talking in Stations. It's where I do most of my streaming, but I am actually now streaming on David Matterall. It's all one word, David Matterall Twitch. And last night I was doing some test runs of a different game that I played called Death Stranding. So I'm going to stream that starting probably tonight. And it's just a chill vibe. Yeah, sure, I can link it. Try that. I'll try that too. I'll send you over to Trash Talk Tuesday in just a second. Guess I have to do Twitch first. Now, don't be alarmed just because I'm streaming a different game. It's a single player game. It's almost like watching a 50-hour movie, science fiction, and it is wonderful. It's a masterpiece in my opinion. And I just decided I was going to play it. Here it is. There it is. That's my where I'm going to stream other sci-fi games and talk about like just why I don't know. That's where I may do casual streaming and stuff, but also here, Talking in Stations is my station, so it will be a place where I do casual stuff for EVE Online. Anything EVE Online will always be in this place here. So yeah, anybody else play Death Stranding? Because I thought it was just a masterpiece. It's, I know people are tired of me talking about it, but it's just a masterpiece game. All right, so I'll be streaming that probably later on. And yeah, thanks. All contributions, totally welcome. Not something I ever did before, but now I'm totally happy to talk about contributions and requesting and asking you guys, if you appreciate the work that's done here. Yeah, I think Death Stranding is a masterpiece. The problem with Death Stranding is it's not made for kids. Basically, it's very much made for adults with life. It makes a lot more sense if you've had a child and if you've had life experience, but it's not made for like a teenager, I don't think. But if you like science fiction, I don't think there's a better game that is a single story kind of game. It was puzzling, interestingly, because when it first came out, people didn't know what to make of it. It was so different than everything else. It's made by the guy that made Metal Gear Solid, right? So people just didn't know how to react to it. Let's see. That's it there. But actually, let me take you to. This is some of the stuff I did last night. Again, I was just testing. It's quite cool actually, because I don't know whether to play it off my machine, it's a very demanding game. Oops. It's a very demanding game, as you can see. This is the beginning, so it's not a spoiler or anything. But the graphics on this game are just amazing. So what I decided to do was to test out GeForce Now. So I'm thinking of thinking of streaming the game through GeForce Now, which is a different it's like a streaming video game service. So you use a supercomputer to play the game, so you don't have to render all those graphics, but you better have a good, strong internet connection. And that way, I went from a 50, 60% CPU load down to a 5% CPU load. And so I may stream it that way. The problem is you're limited in graphics, so you're gonna get what you get. So yeah. A lot of teenagers have kids these days. Yeah. If you have a child when you're a teenager, though, you're probably not going to have a lot of time for video games. So yeah, if you like Norman Reedus, this game's all about him. You're playing him, and oh my god, the acting in this is amazing. There's a lot of cameos too, which is kind of interesting, but just a fantastic science fiction experience. And we're all sci-fi guys, so I figured this is just an easy thing to do. Science fiction, existentialism, anthropology, that's what Talking in Stations is all about. It's what I'm interested in. It's what we're interested in. It is Norman Reedus. He's the one that plays the character. Okay, guys, we're late. I'm going to send you over to Trash Talk Tuesday now, where you can hear more about EVE Online. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And subscribe to David Matterall on Twitch, and that'll give you an alert when I actually start to play Death Stranding. Okay, here you go. See you guys tomorrow.